exactly is the marketing? The marketing itself is pretty easy and simple if you think about it. It's have a message and tell it to the people who are matched for that message so that you can solve their problem. The difficulty, of course, then comes in execution because either your message is not dialed in or you can't deliver it to the people or they can't hear you. There are multiple issues that come in the way. So how can we streamline it? By using the flow principles instead of struggling with this, but actually moving from struggle into release into the flow of the flow stage cycle phase in order to produce real results. And what we are facing here in any business endeavor is constant battle between left side of the brain or right side of the brain, the logical and creative, because there's two sides to the same coin, and marketing requires both of them, and it requires them integrated. It requires structure and consistency and drive, but it also needs this juice of creativity. So how do we do that? First of all, what do we want marketing to feel like? We want it to feel effortless. We want it to feel flowy. We want to be in that flow stage when we are marketing because it has to be done so long for a continuous period of time. And so my process and my perception of it is that we use the triggers for flow and we apply them to business, but we apply them through ourselves. And what I mean by that is that we want to utilize those triggers to rely on in order to do the business and marketing activities. And what I also combine it with is 6 human needs, because every trigger can represent and connect with one of our needs. And if we fulfill that need, then we can streamline the process because we will be more enjoying the process itself. So some of the triggers that we have, first of all, clear goals. We absolutely need to have goals in business. And because the business usually is a huge elephant, we need to break it down into small pieces. And the smaller the pieces are, the easier it is to execute and the easier it is to stay consistent. That's a clear goals trigger. The second trigger is feedback. If we get proper feedback in our marketing efforts, if we structure the campaigns or reaching out to people or whatever in such a way that we get information back in the fast and concise manner that we can understand and process fast, that can increase the dopamine production because it's like every time we get a feedback is a micro win. And so that then leads to continuation of the marketing process. Another trigger is risk. So how much can we face risky activities? Maybe it's reaching out to strange people we never talked to before, or maybe it is reaching out to bigger companies. To what extent do we want to bring the risk factor in order to enhance and increase the amount of cortisol which is required for the struggle phase of the flow stage cycle, so that it can build this momentum upon which we can then utilize and push forward. So that's that. Novelty is another trigger of the flow cycle. And so novelty comes from anything that is new. And so here we can play around with activities and environments that can trigger that novelty and variety and excitement in our day. And if we actually combine it with a trigger for pattern recognition, we can have dual combination, something new, but then also something recognizable. So you can alternate between the well-known environment at home where everything is stable and secure and predictable versus, let's say, coffee shop where everything is novel and unpredictable and new. So toggling between those two can create this dynamic, which then can produce a desired effect, which can then push the momentum and create more flow in marketing. So these are essentially my perception and my overview of what the flow triggers can do for the business. Definition of flow-driven marketing is the marketing that incorporates both creativity and logic, so that it has a structure, but then it has fluidity. And so it utilizes the flow state triggers that I mentioned, the clear goals, immediate feedback, risk, novelty, and predictability, pattern recognition. It utilizes them to build into the marketing dynamics, into the reaching out or connecting information with people who need it in some way that is predictable and consistent and can last for a long period of time.